just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. Now I believe. Oh, fire. Oh, fire. Oh, fire. Fire, fire. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. We're ready to go, Jim. Welcome to ReneMarie Stroke of Luck, the second hour that Judy did a phenomenal job, as always, on healthcare shows dedicated to healthcare. The first show was really incredible with really networking and talking about what is needed, you know, in the world to communicate so that people have resources and have options, and it was really a wonderful show. So we hope that you'll watch that, but this one is going to be just as wonderful. It's funny because the first show was in New Jersey based, and this one is Long Island based. And I got to say, Long Island has been a gift to me. I am so gracious to Long Island for the welcome that it gave me almost 8 years ago, when I began this journey to being a co-host, being a host of a show. So it's wonderful. I always pass the reins. I want to thank Megan and Katerina to the show, but I'm going to let Judy do the press because she does such a wonderful job. It really takes a lot of time and energy to not only get guests on the show, but to gather their information and really come up with a topic that we're going to talk about on the show. So I want to give Judy the honors of reading her wonderful press. You're on mute, Judy. I put you on mute before because we heard you. That's okay. Take your time. That's it. You're off.
Good morning, Megan and Katerina. It's a pleasure to have you both here. Megan Shergill is the Director of Business Development and Patient Growth with Personal Touch Home Care, a licensed home care agency serving New Yorkers for 47 years.
Wow.
And is committed advocate for the geriatric, disabled, and special needs communities. Throughout her 9 years of experience in home health care, it has been her mission to provide those who wish to age and thrive comfortably in the privacy of their own home the ability to do so with the help of professional caregivers. Her expertise ranges from helping individuals and families understand what to expect in their own unique home care journeys and how to prepare for the best possible home care outcomes while always enhancing quality of life. Megan assists individuals in obtaining the home care services they deserve, while also connecting them with the other supportive resources in the healthcare space to ensure continuity of care. Katerina Stella has over 12 years of business development and operational management experience in home health care and insurance industries. Katerina is the Director of Intake and Business Development at Personal Touch Certified Home Care. She spent 5 years of her career as a Director of Government Sales and Outreach at managed long-term care insurance companies, which enabled her to become an expert in both short-term and long-term home health care. Katerina's mission is to ensure that her clients are getting the best skilled services, nursing, physical, occupational, and speech therapies, as well as supportive services, home health aides, care management, tele-monitoring in the comfort of a patient's home and covered by the patient's insurance health plans.
Wow,
Thank
that's incredible. We had a technical issue during your reading that, Judy, and I don't want to shortchange you. So
you want me to read it again?
To read it again, because I don't want to, it to go on. Yeah, so we had a technical issue. So read it again. I'm so sorry, Megan and Katerina, but I want to make sure that we're
glad to say it twice.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to welcome Megan. I want to welcome Megan and Katerina to our show today. Megan Shergill is the Director of Business Development and Patient Growth with Personal Touch Home Care, a licensed home care agency servicing New Yorkers for 47 years, and is a committed advocate for the geriatric, disabled, and special needs communities. Throughout her 9 years of experience in home health care, it has been her mission to provide those who wish to age and thrive comfortably in the privacy of their own home. Her expertise ranges from helping individuals and families understand what to expect in their own unique home care journeys and how to prepare for the best possible home care outcomes while always enhancing quality of life. Megan assists individuals in obtaining the home care services they deserve, while also connecting them with other supportive resources in the healthcare space to always ensure continued care. Katerina Stella has over 12 years of business development and operational management expertise in home health care and insurance industries. Katerina is the Director of Intake and Business Development at Personal Touch Certified Home Care. She spent 5 years of her career as a Director of Government Sales and Outreach at managed long-term care insurance companies, which enabled her to become an expert in both short-term and long-term home health care. Katerina's mission is to ensure that her clients are getting the best skilled services, nursing, physical, occupational, and speech therapies, as well as supportive services, home health care aides, care management, tele-monitoring in the comfort of a patient's home and covered by the patient's insurance health plan. Wow. We welcome both Megan and Katerina to our show.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you for doing it twice. We really appreciate it. So we always start the shows, and welcome to the show. We're honored to have you both here, and you both have great energy. I mean, like, you're happy, just joyous personalities are really contagious, I got to tell you. But Megan, tell us, I'm going to ask you to, Katerina, as soon as Megan's done, but how did you get into this field? I mean, tell us a little bit about your history so that we can lead up to what it is you're doing now.
Sure. I've always said there's really three communities or three audiences that have always seemed to be the most vulnerable in our community. It's the disabled population, it's the geriatric population, and the special needs population. And years ago, literally when I was 13 years old, I started volunteering with the special needs community. And that allowed me firsthand to see their unique needs because everyone is so different. And that's really where I saw, I suppose, an opportunity for myself to be an advocate for these different communities. And then I was able to dabble into special needs, disabled population, and then eventually home care. And Katerina and I worked kind of as this dynamic duo to help advocate for the community because Katerina assists with the short-term skilled services, whereas my team and I assist with the long-term home care services, which allows individuals to live as independently as possible within their communities, which I think now more than ever, everyone wants to do rather than be in a facility, nursing home, rehab, assisted living, especially in the climate of COVID.
Yeah, it's scary. COVID's scary. It's scary. I mean, there's really no words to share how scary. But I was saying in the last show that as overwhelming as the COVID has been, it really did allow some gifts to come out of it. You know, one of the things was, and we'll talk about this with both of your, communities or communities that you work with, is there's like cameras that, you could put in your family's room to have a connection with them on an ongoing basis. You don't have to really go to, you can go to see them every day, but you can wake up and, say good morning and all that kind of stuff. The same way that I did with my grandchildren the last 2 weeks that we've been, fighting COVID, that I was able to FaceTime with them 20 times a day to be able to, stay involved in their lives and stuff like that. So,
well, to your point, ReneMarie, I really do think that we're going to see kind of this epidemic of the geriatric population specifically being very isolated and having kind of this PTSD of loneliness hopefully after COVID, but it's going to be imminent. A lot of people feel very lonely and isolated. So that's really where our team comes into play, where in regards to the opportunity for us to send professional caregivers to the home who do wear the protective equipment, of course, who are vaccinated for COVID, and can assist individuals with not only the activities of daily living that they need assistance with within their homes, like dressing, bathing, grooming, meal preparation, housekeeping, but also companionship.
Yeah. It's my dad used to, Katerina, I'll come to you in 1 second, but my dad, because I'll forget, my dad used to work for Meals on Wheels. He that was his passion, to work for Meals on Wheels, because he was really a people's person. And he used to not only deliver their food to them, but he really had a relationship with them, asked them how they're going. And one of the women in the community I used to work with, Wanakee Reserve, was one of his clients that, he used to bring Meals on Wheels to every day. And she said that she waited breathlessly for my father to come because she loved waiting for him. She loved the energy he brought and the personality, and he asked and he took his time and he really cared for them, so it's heartbreaking, the elderly people that are lonely. It's very heartbreaking. So Katerina, tell us how you got into this field.
Yes, sure. Thank you. So I was growing up, my parents both doctors, so it kind of healthcare was something that I was accustomed to growing up. I heard all the stories about the patients and everyone, right? And I was always saying to my parents that I'm going to be this business lady. I'm not going to be in healthcare. And when I was graduating high school, like my teachers were all shocked that I was not going to medical school, rather than I choose the career path of business development and marketing and economics. So when I came to the United States, I was getting my second master's degree here, and I started working in the hotel industry. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be this hotel mogul. And I started working there, and I didn't quite like it. I was like, this is not mine. This is just simply not mine. So I got first job at VIP Home Care in the certified home care agency where I work right now. And I was like, wow, I really love this. I love talking to people. I love explaining. And I immediately saw the need of explanation, because people know of visiting nurse service. They know of physical therapy, but how to go about getting those services, who is qualified, who is not qualified. So I saw that, it's kind of my mission to continue the healthcare path, but in a different light, and that's my story of starting with home care. And now, 12 years later, I had no regrets. I absolutely love what I do. And I think that anywhere you meet professionals and you right away see if they love what they do, they are professional, they are passionate about it, they are enthusiastic about it. And then there are some that are just coming and doing their job, right? So I am passionate about what I do, and that's my start.
So now you say that people can come to you for help, for resources, if they have a question. I mean, tell us about that. I mean, tell us how to go about doing that with both of you. I know that you work as a team, and I know you take care of long care, Megan, and Katerina, you take care of short term, but how do they go about reaching out to you?
Right. So, let's talk a little bit about the certified home care agency and what it is and what the services that we provide. Okay. So certified home care agency is something that is commonly known as visiting nurse service, right? And we basically send the nurse to the patient's home, and the nurse could assist the patients in the comfort of their home and provide for them nursing services. Along with that, we have physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, medical social workers that could be sent to the patient's home. However, not everyone is qualified for the services. And that's something that I wanted to explain to the audience, that in order to qualify for the services, patient must be found homebound. And by homebound, what we mean is not bedbound, but difficulty leaving the home on their own and requiring assistance, right? So Medicare says that if the patient is able to go to outpatient physical therapy, get in the car and safely drive there and do the exercises there, they need to continue doing so. But if the patient walking down the steps may fall and end up in the hospital, and then it's a long process to recovery, they would rather have physical therapists come to the patient's home. So that's the scope of practice, what we do. And I found that a lot of...
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Who determines that? I mean, because
the doctor, the patient's doctor. So the qualification to qualify for our services, the patient must have a physician, and physician must certify that the patient is A, homebound, and B, requires one of the skilled services.
Okay.
So along with those come home health aid services, which Megan's agency provides, right? But, the main service has to be a skilled service in order for Medicare or managed Medicare to pay for the services, right? So it has to be a skilled service. We mean RN, PT, OT, and speech therapy.
Wow.
That's the skilled services. So the doctor must certify that the patient is homebound, and the doctor must certify that the patient is in need of one of these skilled services in order to get the services.
And how long, Megan, how long does it take to obtain that? Like, because we were talking in the prior show that, sometimes it takes too long to get qualified, and people need that right away, we can't wait 3 or 4 or 5 weeks to qualify for some of these needs. So how do they do that quickly? I mean,
you make such a good point. That's something I was going to mention. Usually when families and individuals reach out to me, it's almost like they needed services yesterday, right? Because it's usually like a chaotic incident that had just happened. Maybe the individual fell and was hospitalized, or they're about to be discharged rapidly from the rehab and they need the services. It's imminent. So I always recommend to families or the decision makers in families, which tend to be the adult children of their, aging loved ones, to start doing the research now about what services are available to them. For instance, personal touch home care, the long-term home care services, we service all of Long Island, the 5 boroughs of New York City and Westchester County. So we like to say that it's one size fits all. You know, there's never going to be us saying that we can't assist you if you're in that territory, because we accept straight Medicaid. We also accept private pay, self-pay options if someone, the individual is not yet Medicaid approved or doesn't want to go down the Medicaid route. We also accept long-term care policy insurances, which is very helpful. So usually when families reach out to me, we're almost like kind of behind the ball. So that's usually when I say to them, you've reached out to the right person. I'm glad that you're reaching out to me. However, let's start the process rapidly. We really need to start applying for Medicaid, seeing what the options are. And that's where Katerina and I come in regards to being a hub of resources for these families, because if they need assistance with perhaps an elder law attorney or, you know, moving around their assets, things like that, that's then when we link them with the other community industry professionals to help them do that so that they can be well prepared and ready for the home care services. And I'm sure you've heard that we are somewhat in the midst of a caregiver crisis right now, not even just with caregivers, but a staffing crisis just throughout, you know, the whole downstate area, the service industry, everywhere. So it's really important that families and individuals start doing their research sooner rather than later and connecting with reputable agencies like Personal Touch Home Care before the need is imminent, and doing their research. And I always recommend you can simply go on to Google and type in Personal Touch Home Care to see our reviews. And that's the best way to really determine whether an agency is right for you, because you know you can't pay for those reviews. Those are real community members leaving those reviews.
Yeah. I mean, what did I want to say?
May I just maybe add to what Megan said? So you raised the question of how long does it take to get on services. So while it's true for long-term care, unless it's a private pay, it does take quite a bit of time because of regulations and certain, you know, exams and everything that they need to pass in order to enroll into managed long-term care. For short-term care, if we have a physician note and we have a physician certification that the patient is homebound, we could start the services within 24 hours. So within 24 hours, the nurse could be in the patient's home, assessing the patient, their needs, you know, providing the services for them. Maybe tele-monitoring needs to be put in place. Certain services could be put in place within 24 hours. And that's why I wanted that differentiate to people that, yes, so Megan's point is don't wait for once the mom or dad is already in the hospital, now discharging and in urgent need of all of these services. Maybe if physical therapists came to the patient's home, and let's say right now, you know, there is a bathtub and the patient is getting out certain way, and maybe physical therapists could show them a better technique, a safer technique, how to get out of that bathtub so they don't fall after getting out of the bathtub, right? Yeah. So there are certain things that we could do to prevent hospitalizations and rehospitalizations, and that's a significant factor because, you know, once the patient's in the hospital, that means that the problem already occurred. I am for proactive approach, and how could we prevent that hospitalizations from happening? We have to be safe at home, and these are the resources that we you know, we're able to provide for the patients in the comfort of their home.
Yeah, one of the things that, you know, we do on my show and my organization is, you know, teach people exactly what you're saying, like do the homework while you're healthy, you know, and have that tool belt of resources. But I have a question to you both. I mean, you know, all these health fairs and, you know, shows that we do, people don't tap in until they need it. I mean, what can we do to help them to know they need a tool belt of information so that they aren't in that predicament? Megan, share with that as first, and then we'll go to Katerina.
So something unique about Personal Touch, specifically my division, is we do a lot of educational workshops, virtual workshops right now in the midst of COVID. Yeah. Used to be in person, just like your show. But so I would recommend find a reputable organization like Personal Touch and put those virtual workshops on your calendar. That way you're abreast of all the different changes, the regulations, what you need to know, how to be prepared. You create a fun little checklist of what you need to have just in case something should happen to mom or dad or a loved one. And that's what I really pride myself in Katerina and being, is like these educational advocates, because everyone is so unique and so different and has so many choices. And it's not up to Katerina and I to push people into choosing personal touch or a certain home care type or program. We really want people to feel empowered and to choose what's right for them. So I would recommend find a good organization, put those virtual workshops on your calendar, and that way you know the language, you know the verbiage, so that when the time comes, you know who to tap into.
Yeah. One of the things that I always do, because I always go back to Jerry Lewis and the telethon, right? The telethon was entertaining, and I'm also an entertainer. I don't know if you know that, but what I've learned when I'm entertaining is to spend 40 minutes just singing. Just sing. Get them in, drag them into your world. And then you could start to share information with them, because that's when they're tapped into what you're saying. The same thing Jerry Lewis did. That's why we do. This is our eighth telethon, Judy. I think it's our 8th telethon.
Yes, we're going into our 8th telethon.
So that's
seems like just yesterday that we started.
I know, but that's our concept, to try to have tools to get people to listen. Like, even if you could plant that little seed in their brain about it. And I think that when it's important information to share with them, like, not only is this something you may not need right now, but you really do need to just put it in your file, the way you said. Just take a class, just take a workshop, so that we could, so you could be educated on it. Doesn't mean you're gonna use it. My granddaughter now has epilepsy. She's a year old next week, and we were shocked. We were. This came out of the blue. She was she must have been 5 months old when she had her first epilepsy seizure. And then, she's had, I can't even count anymore, but maybe 6. And it is scary. And my daughter, Samantha, really educated us on it, because she works for Hackensack Hospital in New Jersey. She's a child life specialist. She said, it is scary, but it's almost like asthma. You didn't know about it until it became part of your world. I learned asthma from my daughter, Samantha, herself. And I also learned it because my grandson had it. So as scary as seizures are, it's something we have to navigate down that road with and educate ourselves on it. It came out of the blue, so it's important to educate yourself on information you'll never use. You may need those tools. If it's coming to you, if it's appearing in your life, you need to educate yourself on it. So that's my thoughts.
I always say the worst time to make a decision is when there is pressure, when there's emotions involved, when there's a chaotic incident. And, like I said, that's usually when families and individuals are reaching out to me. So it's best to really be educated well prior to all of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So
go ahead, Katerina.
Yeah, so at the certified home care agency, we take a little bit different approach. There are certain regulations that not allowing us to reach out to the audience directly and speak to the audience directly. And therefore, I was thinking, like, how could we educate and prevent these hospitalizations and rehospitalizations? And I said, okay, but everyone has a primary care physician, right? Yeah. So my approach is to work with primary care physicians in the community. And this way, every physician has, 500, 1,000, 2,000 patients, right? And therefore, they will see the need for the services and how we help to keep the patients safe in their community. Because physicians' objective is to keep the patients safe in their community, not in the nursing home, not in the hospital, and the same for us, right? So we work with a number number of physicians in 5 boroughs, Nassau, Suffolk, and Westchester counties, and we are educating directly physicians. And we're saying that, doctor, if you see the patient that had a recent fall, that is at risk of falls, that it needs certain services, just let us know and we will come in and we will educate the patient, because a lot has to do with preventative approach, right? Even something like a stroke, right? Like we could be prevented if it was well managed, if it was monitored, right? If certain measures were taking place before, right? So you know, and while I think that it's very important to speak directly to the caregivers, to the, you know, daughters and sons of this elderly aging population, I think it's equally important to educate the doctors on the services that
Yes,
we provide,
yes.
to explain to them how we could help and assist them with this.
And how does that go with the doctors? Like, because, you know, doctors are people, just like priests are people, just like, you know, rabbis are people, you know? So how do you navigate that, dealing with the doctors?
Yeah, so we have the business development team who literally goes to the doctor's offices and asks them for 10-15 minutes of their time to explain about the services that we provide. Then we leave our brochures, and then there is a network of coordinators that are able to get those referrals, and then the intake department will process those referrals, right? And yeah, I mean, the doctors are very busy, but we're explaining that something that, you know, could save the doctor a lot of time, right? Because if they just listen to us to 10-15 minutes and they prevent 5 patients from going to the hospital, that's saving their time, you know, and that's the approach that we take with the doctors. Now, in addition to that, Medicare recognizes that spending's very high for the hospital admissions, right? And they
What's very high, Katerina? What's very high spending?
Medicare realizes that the spendings in general for the population very high, right? So Medicare themselves are now engaging physicians and, you know, asking them to increase the quality of care for the patients, right? And there is something that is called direct contracting entity, which we're proud to say that personal touch is part of it, where the physician enters in the risk agreement with Medicare directly, and to prevent hospitalizations and to save money for Medicare, right? And now it's in physicians' interest to make sure that the patient is safe at the home and is not in the hospital, because otherwise they will be penalized for that. So it's kind of like the eyes are opening now for home care more so than, let's say, 5-10 years ago. And I think as the time goes on and with education that we're doing, like, I think it's very important that the patient just know of these resources, that they are available to them.
And to Katerina's point, you know, obviously there's a lot of home care agencies, a lot of certified home health agencies in the New York tri-state region. But I think what speaks loudest is longevity. You know, longevity and being dependable and reputable, and the fact that personal touch has been around for 47 years, that speaks volumes. And I think that's really what incentivizes physicians to work with us, is because they want us to assist in taking the work off of their desk, off of their plate, so to speak. So if we can prevent all of the escalating issues, like Katerina said, it's in their best interest to do so.
I have a question. I know you guys have been around for 47 years, right, Judy? 47 years?
Yes.
You know, it's good, but you have to keep up with the times. So what do you guys do to keep navigating and keeping up with the times?
So I'll start, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So we're very excited at Personal Touch to be very like future thinking forward, very progressive. So back in the day, I'm not sure how much you all are familiar with home health aides, personal care attendants, the professional caregivers who go into individuals' homes. They used to have to submit timesheets to prove of dates or services rendered. right? Like they would, work a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and then submit their timesheet to prove that they worked. But now we actually have an application on their phone that they can literally clock in and clock out from the patient's home to prove that they worked. And then the individual, the client, the patient can review that and attest that those were the services rendered. And that's really cool. And then even for caregivers, maybe there's someone listening in your audience today who wants to be a professional caregiver. What's really cool is you not only have the opportunity to speak with our patient service coordinators to try to find work in your area if you wanted to be a caregiver, but we also can communicate with you through the application on your phone because everyone's so busy nowadays. So we can actually offer you work through the phone, almost like a texting service type of thing. So it's really cool. We're always thinking future forward and what's in the best interest of the client for the best outcomes.
Wow,
I just have a quick question. I would assume it's easier to get someone Monday through Friday, but is there more difficulty getting people to work Saturday and Sunday?
I always say caregiver availability is very fluid and it changes day by day. A lot of people don't realize that caregivers tend to work for more than one agency at a time because
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because they're looking for, the cases closest to their home that match their availability, because not everyone wants to work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Maybe they want to work evenings, mornings, maybe weekends, overnights. So it's so hard for me to say what like the average shift is or what the best availability is because it's so fluid, especially depending on the territory. So I always say reach out to us sooner rather than later if you do need the services, because we want to be able to have enough time to be very thoughtful with who we're choosing to work with you as an individual rather than rushing and just trying to find someone quickly.
Yeah, that personal touch really matters because almost like your title, their name, is because it's almost like finding a doctor that you have a connection with. And do you? I'm going to let Katerina answer the question that we were working on, but I'm also curious: did you ever have someone call and say, I don't have a connection with this person? Could I change? And truthfully, I feel bad for the person that was working the job, but it was not personal. It's just that they don't have that personal connection.
Exactly. Katerina, you want to take the lead?
Yeah, sure. So the first question that came up was forward thinking, right? So we were in the midst of pandemic. And it was difficult because our nurses were getting sick. And then when the nurse is out sick, we have to find a replacement, and it was true struggle. And we saw that the patients are I was always thinking like, okay, when the nurse comes in, does the education, everything is well, but what happens when the nurse leaves the house? Like how do we make sure that the patient does take their medications? How do we make sure that their blood pressure is stable? And how do we make sure that everything is going on the way it was described in the visit, right? So that's where forward thinking approach with tele-monitoring came around. And we were partnering with numerous companies depending on the patient's insurance, where they implementing state-of-the-art vital monitoring equipment, and they're putting it in patients' homes, right? And that machine literally talks to them. Please reminder to take your medication. Please tap on the scale. Please take the blood pressure, and all of that data is being sent directly to the physicians who are reviewing it. And anything that is out of norm triggers a call. Hi, did you remember to take your medication? Well,
I love it.
Increase the dose, right? Let's do something different, right? So I think that forward thinking, especially in 2021, 22, like it's something that is vital now. Like in order to there are certain things, like I always say that Zoom is something amazing that came out of this pandemic, right? Because even like with the doctor, right? Not always you need to go to the doctor's office and wait there for an hour for the doctor to be to see you, right? You know, right now with telehealth, you could have a push the button. You could have a physician on your line, right? Who could advise you, maybe take a different dose of medication, maybe try this medication. Let me send to your pharmacy. The pharmacy could deliver the medications to the patient's home. So that is one example of the forward thinking approach we're doing in personal touch home care.
Wow. Yeah, my granddaughter, since we've been on this journey with the seizures and the epilepsy, they've had many, many, many doctor's appointments, and some of those doctor appointments are virtual because it's just really a conversation about where she's been. They took all the tests, reviewing the tests. So yeah, that's really, really important, really important.
Yes, and addressing the issue of staffing. I mean, as Megan mentioned, in New York, anyone who is interested in working as a nurse, visiting nurse, physical therapist, we are hiring in all boroughs in Nassau, Suffolk, and Westchester counties. But we also have clinicians that have full-time job Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and they would like to do some extra work on the weekends. So that's why we do provide services 7 days a week and 365 days a year. So there is always availability, but quite frankly, there is more need and more demand right now than we could possibly service all the patients, right? So that's why, like I always say, that the main question, I could send a nurse if I have availability within 24 hours. I just want to make sure that we have that availability.
So we're close to the end of the show, and I just I have two more questions, and then I want you to recap and share with us anything that's important in your worlds to share with us. But Katerina, I know you worked in the insurance field. What did you learn from that you use now? Because one of our foundation's biggest passion is insurance, and money shouldn't be the answer to any recovery. Shouldn't be. You should go get taken care of what you got to get taken care of, have everything done that needs to be done. And then the money should really be on the back end. So you should really be something that is secondary, because life is more important than money. It does that to us just doesn't make sense. So what did you learn in that insurance field?
Certainly I agree with your point, right? But then when I'm coming from an insurance point of view, right, there is also some I would say I would call it abuse in traditional Medicare world, right? That's why Medicare actually would like everyone to enroll into Advantage plan, right? Because now you have this Advantage plan that is like a governing agency that reviews the need, and that's why authorizations needed to be obtained, right? And they review the needs for the patients, right? So if, let's say, traditional Medicare would say, sure, no problem to this test, that test, because there's no authorization in place, right? Now you have this insurance that clinicians and professionals are looking at this and they're saying, is this test really needed? Maybe a different test is needed. And that's where authorization comes in, right? So I learned how to navigate and what services would be provided by one insurance and another. And I also understand the insurance point of view, right? Because there were scenarios where we were like, that is not needed in that scenario, right? So there's always that other side, right? Where like we would like to be in ideal world, all the patients receiving the services exactly what they need, right? But that's not what's happening. Many times it's the services are more than necessary, right? And that's what the very difficult to manage, right, for the insurance companies. And that's why they put in place authorizations. So for example, we do accept some Advantage plans that we are in network with, right? But we have to send that doctor's request to the insurance company, and based on their review, they would say how many visits they are authorizing for. But they, in the back of their mind, they understand that if they are authorizing only, let's say, 5 physical therapy visits, they understand that if 5 would not be enough, then the patient may end up in the hospital, and that will cost them more. So they are for like making sure to prevent that hospital bill.
Yeah, no, I get it because I'm a businesswoman. I get that there's, everything has to be looked at from a business standpoint and also from a compassionate standpoint. I get that. I've had what's his name? Michael Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Is he a
Yes.
congressman or is he assemblyman? What does he do in New York, Judy? What does he do?
He's an assemblyman.
We've had this conversation about whether the government should take over insurance. And and I said, like, it's really an important conversation to have because when I was going for physical therapy, like it was ended at a specific time. And I'm not a liar. I needed it for a longer time to recover. So I mean, I'm just trying to help the insurance companies understand that, how could they in an office without knowing me specifically, personally determine that what I need? So that's where I'm coming from. I know that's a whole different show and we would love to invite you to an insurance show to talk about that. But it really is one of our passions because like we said, people matter.
Right. And that's why when we get the denial for the insurance, if the patient truly needs the services, we are appealing that denial, so it's not like, okay, we got the denial and that's it. We are appealing the denial. So there's always like, we are advocates for the patients, for our patients in the community. And, on the other side, there is a payer, right? So it's always that, a little bit of, just proving that, okay, the patient needs it and we would like to provide the services.
And that's why your company is important because you have to have advocates when you know the system, right? The general person like myself wouldn't know where to go to appeal that, so it is so important to deal with people like personal home care to work with you.
Right. And I just wanted to add that we always also set certain goals to be achieved, right? So like one example could be, let's say there is 4 steps to go to the patient's home, right? And the patient makes 2 steps safely, and then the 2 they may fall, right? Or they
need a ramp.
They did already, right? Fall, right? So so the goal now would be for the patient to do strengthening exercises and safe practices for the patients to walk up the steps, those 4 steps, so they are able to safely get to their home. And whether it's maybe with assistance of a ramp or the railing or whatever, or probably maybe just strengthening exercises, we do provide those services. And once those goals are achieved, then it's a check mark, and yes, we need to stop the services, right? Yeah. But if the goals are not achieved, we could appeal with insurance and we could get the authorization for more visits and with the granted, explanation why the services are needed.
Wow, we're so grateful for both of you taking the time to share information for everybody. It really just like planting the seed, like we said before. And one of the big things that I took away from this show is that they really need to understand it before they need it, right? You need to communicate, call you guys. Is there a way for them to call, to reach out, to just communicate with you guys, to learn about you guys? Tell us a little bit about that, Megan, and then we're gonna start rolling out.
Sure. So if you are in need of a professional caregiver on a long-term duration, I encourage your audience to call me directly. You can reach me at 1-800-224-0594. Or if you prefer, you can email me. It's simply just businessdevelopment@P as in Peter, T as in Thomas, homecare.com.
Good. Katerina, how can they reach you?
Yes, so we have our intake number, which is 718-375-6111. and they could call, and there is like, for more information about our services or new patient requests, press 1, and they could be connected to intake representative, and one of our intake nurses will be on the line with the patient, assessing the needs and what is needed to start the care.
Is there a website?
Yes, pthomecare.com. That's the website for both. Yes.
That's good, because some people, they don't have time, but while they're waiting in the doctor's office, or while they're waiting for their car to be re-oiled and, oil change, they could take the opportunity to check you guys out. So,
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna, what's that, Megan?
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
Let them do their research at their leisure, whenever's good for them. Yep.
Yeah. But I think, like you said before, like they should schedule it in. They should schedule it in.
We all are going to age, right? It's inevitable. So it's best to know the verbiage, know the language, know what to do prior.
But the truth is that it may not even have to do with age. You need these services no matter what age you are. I had my stroke at 26. I had my major stroke at 26. I couldn't walk. I couldn't talk. So that's why I do what I do, to make on the face of things happening unexpectedly at a young age. Like nobody thought that 26-year-olds had strokes. Everybody thought it happened to their grandparents, but it doesn't. It happens to everybody at any age.
It could even happen to an unborn baby.
Yes. So it doesn't pick and choose. It's not discriminatory, strokes and other illnesses. So it's really important at any age to learn the resources. Maybe this is just coming to me, that they should teach in colleges. They should have these classes in colleges, just as a resource, as a help thing. And they should probably teach it to everybody, not only the healthcare and people that are going. So just stuff that I'm trying to think about. But we want to roll on out in a few minutes. I want to give you the opportunity to recap and really share, about your company. I know we just did it a little bit, but I want to make sure that everybody knows your main purpose in your passion in life. So Megan, go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks for giving us this opportunity today. It's really great to connect with you ladies who know how important it is really to be proactive with your self-care and your loved one's care. So Personal Touch Home Care has been around for 47 years, providing short-term and long-term home care services using professional caregivers in the comfort of your own home, which I think everyone can attest to, that's what they would prefer to have, live safely, independently in the community as long as possible. So we just encourage your audience to reach out to us with any questions that they have. It's never too early to start preparing.
You give your website and your email address and your phone number once again, so it's in the same frame. So
again, my name is Megan Shergill, Director of Business Development for Personal Touch Home Care. You can reach me directly at 1-800-224-0594. And our email is businessdevelopment@P as in Peter, T as in Thomas, homecare.com. And our website is simply just pthomecare.com.
Thank you, Megan. Katerina?
Yes, hi. So thank you so much for having us here. I think that, it's very important to educate everyone on the services and simply to know that the services are available for the patients, right? And even their insurances would like you guys to use our services. Our main goal and priority is to keep the patients safely in the comfort of their home. And that's our mission. We are available 24/7 for any questions that might be, and we're just a phone call away. Our phone number is 718-375-6111. The website is the same, pthomecare.com. So any questions that you have, we do encourage you to call. And while our office, is open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, but you could call after hours and you will be connected to the on-call nurse to explain about the services that we provide. And it's always good to be prepared ahead of time. So I wish everyone to be healthy and happy 2022 to everyone.
Thank you. And I got to say that they did a great job in enrolling both of you in the positions you're in, because you really have a passion and it just exudes from who you are. You just do things from a joyful place, and that's really important. It speaks volumes without you even talking about the business. You know, it really speaks volumes. So they did a great job in choosing both of you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
It fuels us to see people getting the services that they deserve. So thanks so much.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. Judy, thank you so much for organizing this wonderful show. You're the best. We couldn't do it without you on this Stroke of Luck show, and we've been doing it for almost 8 years. Oh my God. So, and Jim, how long have we been together? 5 of those 8? I think 5 of those 8. 5 of those 8. I think Jim's going to talk. 5 of those 8? 5 of those 8. So it's a gift. It's a gift. So we always blow our kisses just to share love with everybody. And we hope that everybody has a joyful, wonderful 2022. We hope that everybody has a lot of hope. We have hope for the future. And we're so gifted to have had both of these wonderful individuals for personal touch home care on the show. Thank you so much, both of you. On 3, we're going to blow kisses. 1, 2, 3. Bye, everybody.
Bye. God bless you all.
Bye.
God bless.